This BMW and this Mazda are about the same size, and they both use the same type of engine. So is the BMW worth about 2x the price? We'll find out with today's comparison. The Tim Daly Mazda here in Murray is providing us with the CX-90, and then the BMW of Murray is providing us with the X7. Link to both their websites in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Powering the Mazda is a turbo 3.3 liter inline six that goes through an 8-speed automatic. Fuel economy is 23 around town, 28 on the highway, with power outputs being 340 horsepower and then 369 pound-feet of torque. Now powering the BMW is the 3-liter turbo inline six B58 that goes through an 8-speed automatic. Fuel economy is 21 around town, 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 375 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque, so less fuel efficient but more powerful. I will say, listen to the BMW hood, it is a lot more solid. If you're looking for more straight-to-the-point comparisons like this, make sure you subscribe. Now, stylistically, I'd say the Mazda is a lot more traditional when it comes to SUV styling. You just have regular headlights, you have a larger grille, and you can tell that Mazda is trying to make the CX-90 more upscale with all the painted trim. The BMW is definitely a modern take. You've got a large grille, the kidney grille, but massive, right? Split light design, and then look at everything that's happening down below. So you really do have a comparison of complexity versus simplicity when you look at both of these. Now the tire and wheel setup on the Mazda is uniform, 275 by 45 by 21. You can see the wheels are all blacked out. The BMW is a little bit different, so 275 by 40 by 22 up front, but then it's 315 by 35 by 22 in the back, so slightly staggered setup with the BMW. Now here's a side profile of the CX-90. You guys know my feelings about the back end of the 90. I feel like they need to redesign that part of the car, looks-wise. Anyways, lots of nice painted trim on the exterior of this car. Very tight parking lot, so it's kind of hard to get a side view of the X7, but it's a lot boxier with the design. Lots of painted trim on the side as well. USB port in the back of the 90. The seat does fold down flat. It is manual with that operation. Charge port area. We do have a little bit of storage underneath here. But yeah, decent space. Again, the rounded off kind of tapered, rounded off design, whatever you want to call it, it does rob some space in the back. And the BMW seats also fold down flat. There's a bunch of stuff that's kind of blocking that. You can see there's stuff here in the back as well. All the seats are power, so that is something the BMW has over the Mazda, is everything is power up and down. And then it has a tailgate as well, which I can actually raise up. So that's a cool feature. And you know that you can raise and lower the suspension because it says height adjustable suspension. The Mazda does not have that feature. And then we'll lower that down. This right here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about with the Mazda. You can see the BMW is upright, tall in the back, whereas the Mazda has that weird kind of pointed look. It gets in the way of vertical space. Mazda should do more traditional SUV design, but there's the backs. Now we'll compare the rows. So in the back of the Mazda, I do technically fit back here, but kind of sit low in the seat. And then again, there's not a massive amount of headroom. Now the second row of the 90 is a lot better. I actually have a sunshade here in the back, which is nice. Nice trim in the door panel, very tight fit and finish. Heated seats in the rear. Also have our own climate zone. This has captain chairs on top of that, and then much better with the kind of headroom, also panoramic center. Now there's not really more foot space in the third row of the BMW, and actually I feel like there's less hip space because this comes out pretty aggressively for the cup holder. But I do get my own sunroof here in the back, and I've got heated seats in my own climate zone as well, so there's a bit more luxury. And like I said, getting back here, everything's power versus manual. Legroom in the second row is good. I will say the BMW seats are a bit more comfortable than the Mazda seats. Even the sunshades are power. Really nice trim here. See down below too. And then again, I got heated seats here in the back. Got my own climate zone. There's some USB ports. I feel like these captain chairs are a lot closer than what's in the Mazda. It's kind of interesting. Look how pillowy that is. You do have a nice headliner, and then again a panoramic center from good headroom. Blind spot warning with the Mazda. And let's talk about glass. The Mazda just has thicker glass up front, and then you can see with the soft touch here, got all of your window controls. The mirrors fold in via power, and the front seat, nice trim, power adjustments. Getting in's easy. Get a regular stop start. Look at that digital cluster. You got nice trim on the steering wheel. We've got adaptive cruise. It's got steering assist. And then you can see here, 360 camera. Now this is not touchscreen, but it does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You got physical buttons for the heated ventilated seats. Your dual zone climate. You can see here at the cup holders. And there's nice trim, and again, the general build quality here is really good. This is the controls for the infotainment system, because again, it's not touchscreen. Storage there. Nice trim here on the top, on the dash as well. Blind spot warning with the BMW. Thicker glass throughout with the BMW. A nice trim here. All window controls, mirrors power fold in. You've got your memory seat function there, all the adjustments. Again, everything's power in this thing. And these seats are more comfortable, like I said before. Getting in's just as easy. And then stop start button's right there. I guess I didn't close the rear fully or something. Anyways, you can see here full digital cluster. Steering wheel, it's got nice trim, even the airbag cover has fancy stitching. This does have a 360 camera. I will say it's a little bit more crisp with the view that's going on there. That's because the hatch things, it's not all the way open, it's just like partially open. But yeah, it's a touchscreen infotainment system, which is great. You don't have a lot of physical controls because pretty much everything's built in the screen. There is this control stack though. Analog for the infotainment system, you got like your drive modes and everything, air suspension adjustment. And then nice trim here. There's also kind of a cool design on the dash. And like I said, there's a good setup on the headline. Now that Mazda sticker's for about $55,000. That BMW is about $102,000. Let's drive them. We're gonna set off in the Mazda first, and then we'll drive the BMW second and feel if we are, see if we feel like we're upgrading by about 2x the price. Not quite, but close to it. And I mean, I'm gonna try to do more of these comparisons with non-luxury versus luxury, because there's a lot more people that are doing that comparison. And I think there's a number of reasons. The first reason is, of course, affordability, right? Affordability with new cars, whether it's luxury or non-luxury, is just, it's a struggle now. New cars are the least affordable that they've ever been for the average person. Good power. I feel like they've kind of like somewhat fixed the tuning on this. I remember the first time I drove this, it was pretty harsh with the shifts and the engine. It seems like the engine's smoothed out a little bit and the shifting's a little bit smoother, but they could still improve things, because inline sixes should be buttery smooth, and this is good, but it's not great. Build quality is really good though. But yeah, the other thing other than affordability is just value, right? Because it used to be back in the day, luxury cars were more differentiated from non-luxury. Not every single automaker was using the same suppliers. Not every single automaker was using the same tech like they are now. You know, like if an automaker has like a driver monitor system and like steering assist, they're pretty much all the same system from the same you know, parts maker and everything. So it just creates a different dynamic where the cars are less differentiated. And then again, you look at the powertrains, both inline sixes in this case, both turbo. And the ironic thing with this comparison is BMW's B58 is bulletproof. It's a great engine. The rest of the car, right, can have some issues, but you know, those B58s can easily handle hundreds of thousands of miles. This powertrain, however, has had some transmission issues from what I've heard from people. So, but you know, Mazda's gonna perfect it over time, and eventually it'll be a great engine. They're not gonna just let it sit there and have issues forever, you know? Be interesting to compare the suspension. That's something that I'm very interested to see with this comparison. Because, you know, like the BMW, I kind of talked about with the hood, but it does, like the hood closing was way more solid sounding, and the doors were a bit more solid, and some of the trim, like the fit and finish feels just as tight in this as in the BMW, but you know, some of the materials in the BMW do feel more premium. And again, you'd hope so for 2x the cost, but it's always important, in my opinion, to bring this stuff up. Because I think there's a lot of stuff that, because I'm very like detail oriented. I think there's a lot of stuff that I perceive that a lot of people kind of miss when they're looking at cars. And you'd hope so, right? I review cars for a living. Or else there'd be no reason to watch these videos. This is a nice driving car though, I will say that. It's pretty darn comfortable. The seats are a little bit tighter, a little bit firmer. That's the other thing with this compared to the BMW. The BMW's got much more comfortable seats. And I do think Mazda is going to be kind of changing that, because the new CX-5 seats are more comfortable than these seats. Yeah, I gotta love inline sixes though. Good, smooth power delivery. It's my favorite turbo engine. I'm not, generally speaking, I'm not a fan of turbo engines, but I am a fan of turbo inline sixes. So let's go pop into the BMW and see how it's $102,000, how it manages to justify the price. So X7, let's turn this on all the way. It's getting toasty. Now, as soon as you get in this car, like I said, it does feel nicer. You know, the sound system I'd say is higher quality. You can get a nicer sound system in the Mazdas than what that one had, but still, again, thicker glass all throughout, so it's more insulated. The seats are more comfortable. The suspension, having air suspension, is more comfortable. And even though we're not moving that fast, you can already tell the engine's smoother. The tuning of this B58 with the ZF 8-speed, I mean, it's really hard to beat. ZF makes such good transmissions, and the B58 is like the inline six right now. But, you know, Mazda is going to be sharing that inline six with Toyota, so you know that Toyota is going to work some magic on it, and we'll have to see what happens, right? We'll have to see what happens. But that aside, yeah, see, it's just plush. And you know, you don't get like the Mazda, you kind of hear the chassis a little bit because there's not as much sound deadening. This has so much sound deadening, you're just not gonna hear anything. And you know, I think the overall build's probably a little bit better. Again, you'd hope so for the price difference. Now, this might sound like, at this point, I'm just talking up the BMW like it's the best thing ever and you should just go and buy a BMW. And well, I love that, just, it's so smooth. It's such a good engine. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. From my perspective, the BMW is offering all this stuff, but you are still paying a big premium to have the BMW badge, to have the luxury brand. Now, how much is that premium? It's hard to put an exact figure on it, truly. But what I would say is air suspension plus thicker windows. Make sure this is turned down so you guys don't get air blowing on. Air suspension, thicker windows, better build overall. Gotta think how much that's worth. That's kind of harder to value. But I think one way we could put that value into context is this feels kind of like a Land Cruiser build quality, whereas the Lexus feels like Land Cruiser Prado. So you're talking about like those are like $20,000–$30,000 apart. But then again, there's equipment plus that, so maybe there's like maybe that adds like 10 grand. I'll say 10 grand for that. So let's say 55 plus 10 gives 65. Air suspension is not that expensive for an automaker to add. You know, most automakers, when they add air suspension, you're talking about $2,000 to maybe $4,000 as an option. So let's say that brings us, let's just round up and say that brings us up to 70. And then the thicker glass is like dirt cheap, so that's fine. More speakers for the sound system, nice. So like when I look at everything, and then you add the BMW badge, it's like this equipment wise and everything, having power seats with everything, kind of like I look at this and I go, okay, $80,000, and then it's 102. So that's kind of, that's like the price that that's the premium. You're paying like a $20,000 premium to get the BMW badge. Be interesting to compare this to the Palisade, because the Palisade has like all the same luxury features this has interior wise at like 60 grand. Probably do that at some point for you guys. Let me know which one you'd pick. Like I said, the BMW has more equipment, it does drive better, but you're paying for it. You are paying for it. So let me know if you think if it's worth the price premium that you're paying.